I'm well aware this is a boat that I built. We need to test this thing thoroughly before we start crossing ocean.
It's only put every test we can.
Yeah.
We're here in Annapolis.
And before we leave Annapolis, we had to make sure that we checked out a really cool project close by.
So we've been friends with these guys for so long, but we've never actually met them in person till the other day. And now we're going to bring you on a little tour with us to check out their boat that they're building by themselves.
MJ Sailing, Matt and Jessica, are building their own Max Cruise Catamaran, Max Cruise 44. Here in Annapolis area?
Forever. I mean, it has been 2 years now. And
2 years.
Yep, and we have, at least two.
But she's a boat.
It actually looks like a boat, kind of, right now. And in theory, it could float.
That's my favorite thing. Like,
Yeah.
how far is it? If you stuck it in the water, it'd float, at least for a while.
It would float. It would not be maneuverable, but it would actually float because there's no bows on it right now. So we are, as we were leveling out the hulls, we moved it. So there is 9 inches of clearance on this side between this and the poles, and over here is 4.5 inches.
God.
It was just the hulls. So they weighed 650 pounds apiece. They were still kind of maneuverable at this point. Like jacking it up, and it was such a task to get them perfectly in line. Through that process, we're paying attention to everything else except for the fact that we are slowly crab walking this thing over this direction. So it's gonna be real interesting when we pull out. So up in the front, you can't really see yet, but these are the bows. So another 4.5 feet that ends up going in the front. The way this is set up, the first 13.5 feet are multiple watertight chambers. So each one of these, basically every 4 feet is a watertight setup with watertight bulkheads with multi-layer. So the first layer up to 20 inches and then another 20 inches above are all watertight cells.
Wow.
And then our whole floor, all the way aft, watertight cells as well. So up to the water line, basically we could take the whole bottom of the boat off and still completely float. It ends up being there's 96 individual cells that are completely cut off, watertight. So we have just insane buoyancy and reserve there. Unlike most catamarans, our emergency hatches are actually supposed to be right in this area, way up here. So water line's way down here. They're massive up there because you have so much buoyancy up in the front. If we were inverted, you'd have so much buoyancy in that.
Is there anywhere where we shouldn't step?
No. I will yell at you if you start stepping somewhere. It's bad. Everything's fine. It's all structural now. So it's real similar to what you guys have. It's just ours is just the center section goes up, and then the sides are doors that slide out. Yep. We run into the issue of making that clear a table in here if we want. So we've got a width restriction with that, and
So will you have like a table or something? Like
We might have one like where you're standing right now. And like what HH does on theirs is they have just kind of like a long skinny one with something that can flip out and make it bigger.
We are talking about maybe doing a universal, so have it so that the table and the inside can be moved out here, so then we save the weight. But
that's what I see on like a lot of the Chris White cats, right? They have like just regular tables and like plastic chairs and stuff.
Quite frankly, I don't think I need a table in both locations, so it should be okay.
And if you find you do in the future and you're willing to take you just
obviously settee on this side, settee aft, settee on this side. This is the big debate we're having, is designing the helm setup. Either a set of dedicated set of steps leading up to it, or like what the HH does, you step on here, there's a little cutout or a little thing that sticks out, and then you step up. Because the big thing is we don't want to give up another settee on that side. And then this is the typical, the articulating, so you can face aft if you want to.
Oh, nice.
Set up.
Oh, that's
I've never
awesome.
seen anything like that.
You've seen them on like center consoles and stuff.
Yeah. You'll see them on like a lot of just bench seats.
So it's just going to be like a bar, and then the bar can come this way?
Yeah, so you can flip it this way.
Pushing,
All
right, I'll follow you guys.
Our fancy door. So the overhead is not in yet or bonded in yet. It's actually just sitting here.
Hey, but if it rains, you're not getting wet.
Exactly. Well, it's insulating too, so it keeps us nice and warm. And we gave us a spot to mount lights. Of course, opening hatches across the front, lifting up. Then it's fixed windows along the side. These all get cut back later on once we're ready for them. There's going to be a stage here, kind of a little step to sit on. Our big thing was we wanted to be able to sit at anchor and be able to actually see out the windows, not have to sit completely upright, you know, like Jess and I don't sit that way. We never have our feet on the ground at all. It's always like kicking back, but we wanted to be able to see. So the idea was to raise up the settee higher. Once we have 4 or 5 inches of cushion on here, we needed to have a step to be able to step on, and that's where that table is going to mount.
Okay.
But then it gives us that same height as it is out in the cockpit, so the table legs will be the same height as what a table would be naturally out there. So it should allow us to transition and pull that and put that out there. The original design, we had a nav desk up here. She and I, we had a nav desk. We had a pilot house previously. We had a nav desk. Never used it. We are not the type of people that will ever sit at a nav desk at all. But last minute, as we're building out the thing, we're like, we'll never use it. Let's just get rid of it.
Settee was going to end here, and then the nav desk was going to be about there. So he's going to be laying this way, and he can put his feet up. And then the big question is like, where do I put my feet? So we're trying to find like an ottoman that could maybe be the seat for this, but then it could like move outside. And I'm like, that's so for a nav desk, that's not going to get used. So got rid of it, and then what we did end up doing is raising the height of this, and we're turning this area into storage for like what would normally go at a nav desk or just at a simple desk.
Because of the 48 volt bank, the higher voltage with the bank, we can have a bigger separation, easier separation between that and the electrical panel, because we're not having that huge voltage drop that you get with conventional system. So the battery pack will be here for, of course, weight balance. Charger, inverter will be in this area, but then everything else, all the electrical side is going to be aft here, like the solar controllers, all of those things will be set up back here, which will also be like an entertainment area, a TV, that kind of stuff will be in this area.
You guys are going to have TV?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about that.
We weren't going to, but I think we're going to.
I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, off topic. But,
What about the waffle maker? You still have the waffle maker?
I do still have.
Oh, did you? She told you about
you
that?
told me.
Oh my gosh! We weighed everything we owned on the last boat to send it back to the U.S. But how we lived and what we had for weight.
Yeah.
The big thing is not adding more stuff to that list.
Yeah.
Are you getting a washing machine?
No.
So on the weight thing, like on Adrenaline and on the Corsair especially, because we didn't sail Adrenaline hard to her potential at all. It was painful to know you were being limited by the weight and not being able to get to that performance potential. Like I felt it on the Corsair especially. Like when we were unloaded compared to when we were loaded and like cruising on it.
I have all the numbers, so I know the induced drag, the skin friction that's
Wait,
on there,
I
and
have
all
a
these types of
great
things.
idea.
With each little inch of immersion, like how much of a drag that is on there, and knowing how much more horsepower I need to get out of the rig to overcome that, and going, our best bet is keep it lightweight. And our problem is, since we're building this boat, we're not as good laminators as they are. So everything we're doing is going to weigh a little bit more than what they're doing there, just because of the fact we just don't have the skill set to be able to make it later. And of course, we're going for a little bit more of a yacht finish than what they are. We're adding weight, we're adding all this weight. We know we're already going to be a heavier boat. It's how do we go about not going over.
I have a feeling you might be a little bit like Billy, where Billy's like, oh, we can't have this, but he needs all of these things.
Yo, all
so
my
we
toys,
should weigh.
all my
we
toys
should
are carbon
weigh
fiber
all of
and
your
like
stuff
freaking thin
versus all
nylon
of your
kites and
and
stuff.
Just like weigh it out. And be like,
It's been
I just want my silicone baking pants.
So obviously settee area here, galley over on this side. This is going to be a big pull-out drawer here, and then a faux panel in here. Cooktop obviously is going to be here, and then we'll have a portable one for on this side. Refrigerator here. We're still trying to figure out that right now.
Are you going electric cooktop or?
Yeah, induction.
Cooktop
for that, and then we have a convection oven that will be stored in there. The sink will be here.
Want to show what you're just working on?
This was a dish rack that is going to end up going recessed in this area, and then it'll be so you can put your dishes up there and have it drain, which then will drain into the sink thing and overboard.
I like that.
The guest hall over on this side, stairs, obviously leave it down. It's a queen size bed on both aft sides.
That's huge.
You guys are welcome to visit anytime.
The middle is obviously the head area here, so you have access from either side. Because of the narrow halls, it was almost impossible to do, with the dagger board case then too, to do the center typical head that you have with a hallway still next to it. You'd have no space at all. The negative is we were required then to give up another set of stairs. So we had to have another set of stairs. We lost a little bit of space there, but it then gave us actually a decent sized head for a guest head.
Yeah, that's nice.
Especially in this size boat, it actually gave us an okay space here. The toilet sitting underneath there is not where it's supposed to go. That will be in this area here. Dagger board case. This is additional pantry here eventually.
Yep. Going back up.
Another guest. This is just a double, but it gives us quite a bit of storage underneath here. Another pantry on this side.
Wow, those are deep.
Yeah.
Wow. And this will remain a shelf here?
That will remain a shelf. Yep.
That's so nice.
Yeah, unfortunately that was required structurally. The fun part is it wasn't in any of my plans. They forgot to actually have it in there. So all of a sudden I'm on the production one in Vietnam and I'm like, hey, what's that thing? And they're like, yeah, you need that. I'm like, what? You never told me that. So all of a sudden it was a quick, when we got back, like doing that before we did anything else.
Oh my goodness.
And then owners over on this side. So forward head setup.
So this is what you've been working on, huh, Jessica?
This is where she's lived. Yeah, pretty much. So good sized shower setup here. This is the wet side of the head. So this is all stuff that can get wet without a problem here. Shower head will actually be here. There's a nice little bench here. If we do the emergency hatches, they will be actually right in this area. So would give you a nice view at shower and good vent there. Hatches overhead, windows, of course, those are going to get cut out on the side here. Eventually, obviously, everything needs to be turned into doors. We need doors. So this is hanging locker in here. On the other side of this is the back side of the settee, which will be the inverter charger in there. And then this eventually is going to be our cat's litter box in there.
Oh, nice.
So I need to actually enclose this completely and then do carbon filters for ventilation so we don't get smell in there. It was going to be this area up here. And so we made it all set up so it's actually venting to the locker up there, the front locker and stuff like that. And then we figure out, well, we put the settee there, it no longer works. So we need a place for the stupid litter box. So it's a queen berth aft then. The nice part is with just the electric motor on this side, we don't have any of that heat. We don't have any of that noise that you normally would get. Until we decide really on our home setup, we can't finish off this, that corner or that corner actually. We need to make our final decision. Once we get the home set up, then we can do that last bit of really fiberglass work there.
What made you guys want to build? Because you have...
We love it.
Okay, no.
Okay, you take it.
So the reason that we decided to build this boat is when we were in England, well, we wanted to move to a catamaran for a while just because we kind of want to get the feel of everything that's out there. Who knows, maybe we'll do a trimaran someday or a trawler. But we knew that we wanted to try a catamaran, so Matt started looking on Yacht World and all these other things for any potential boat that we could purchase. But of course, everything was going to need a big refit.
And in case you don't know, in the past like 5 years, they've increased in price ridiculously.
Yes.
So yeah.
So anything that we could actually afford to get our hands on was going to be basically a gut and rebuild, which we had just done with the aluminum boat. Not that I don't mind the work, but you put all of that effort in and you still have this old boat.
And you're always chasing down somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Yes, to actually build something with your hands and seeing that result. It's frustrating through the whole process. So we hate every minute of sanding, but the end of the day, you get done and you're like, oh my gosh, I did this. This is what I accomplished today, and it's tangible. It's something that you can sit there and see, and that reward is something that we didn't have in our previous work lives.
When we're looking at some of these catamarans, one of the things that we almost bought was something called an Orem catamaran.
Okay.
And Matt was telling me the origin of it, how it's kind of like a kit that you build out, which I hadn't really known about kit boats. And so I was like, so somebody just like buys these pieces and they build it themselves? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, so we would just be kind of fixing up an older one that someone built. Yeah. Can we do the same thing with a new one? And so then this whole world opened up to us that we can build a brand new boat. After I found out, I'd be like, okay, like another year, willing to sacrifice it, a little bit more money, but then like we end up with a brand new boat that we fully customized to fit exactly what we want for our cruising needs. As we were doing our search, Max Cruise contacted us, like they were just coming out and said like, we have something that we think you'd be really interested in, and they were right.
And so finally we decided to go ahead. And
That was the one.
that is the one, yeah. The main goal was the satisfaction of building a boat. To get that satisfaction, how minimal of work can we actually get into that to end up with that same result? Do we build the hulls ourselves from the ground up and mold our own parts and all that kind of stuff? Well, no, I don't necessarily need to do that to get that same satisfaction. So it was trying to reduce that workload as much as possible by getting pre-molded pieces, by getting something that's already designed, that's out there, instead of having to design it ourselves. We knew what our end goal was, and it was backing as far back as we could get to still have that same satisfaction, that same end result with the least amount of time.
It goes in the water and you can stand back and say like, wow, that was us.
Yeah,
You
that was
did
us.
every single
Yeah.
part. Like I can say right now, I know it's not done, but you built this.
Yeah.
Is this your forever boat?
No.
Oh, that was a fast answer.
We're not forever boat people. Like there's always, I want to try this and I want to try this.
Okay, I
and
like
wanna-
that. No, I like that.
It will be our,
Yeah,
I think our longest.
you guys, of course.
It'll be our longest term boat, but like we really have no end in sight. We're not looking to move back to land until we have to. We could love this boat. It could be like 15 years, but then we eventually will move to something different.
Yeah, back to a larger monohull or a trimaran or something like that. It's that's what I love about cruising just in general. There's no right answer.
Yeah.
However works for you and the individual.
I think this will be our favorite.
Yeah, I think this will. I don't think we're gonna build another one.
No.
I can say that much.
Like, is there a point with that kind of stuff where you draw the line and you said, okay, maybe it's not 100% perfect, but it's good enough for our standards?
Everyone keeps going, well, no one's gonna see this. But I see it.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me crazy, are the little things that I see. Typically not our time, it's our skill. So we get to a point where we know no matter what we do, our skill level is not enough to actually get better than that. We can keep redoing it 10 times over and we're still going to get that same result, is typically when we call in.
I think what, I don't want to say like our problem is, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we are trying to get as professional of a finish as we can, being amateurs. Like, so we will keep going at something, because I'm looking at the catamarans like Balance and HH and be like, I want my boat to look like that. I don't know if my skill level is there, but as close as I can get it, that's what I'm gonna do.
But at the same time, it's your boat and you're the one doing
Yeah.
it, so you might not think it's there, but I bet it's going to be there or better. It's not some other random person saying, oh, this is good enough.
If we're building this to sell, we would be
good enough, good
we'd
enough.
be idiots for continuing on that same path and doing that same thing over and over again, but we're not building it for someone.
Like Matt said, it's like we'll be out on the water, and it could be such a simple thing like you open up your cabinet and you grab your toothbrush out and you're like, well, there's a chip.
Yeah.
I should have gone back and fixed that.
Yeah, and that was the struggle we did on the aluminum boat. Was we did all the woodwork and everything like that. I think was just about perfect. I was very proud of that. But it was the behind the scenes stuff that we didn't finish off because we thought we were going to be going back to finish it, and it drove me crazy the entire time. So now we know from that experience, we know to attack the things that we are going to be looking at that are going to drive us
Like those
or bother us. And of course, there's things that don't bother us that someone may come aboard and go, oh, I wouldn't have done that. There is a time limit. You know, we're not going to do this. Like if I'm 100 and I'm still building this thing, then that's a problem.
We found out too, usually like between that 2 and 2.5 year mark, at least on the last boat, then we start saying, good enough for who it's for.
Yeah.
Let's just move on to the next step.
I appreciate perfect jobs so much, and it kills me sometimes when our jobs aren't perfect, but I think we are a little bit more, all right, that's good enough, a little bit quicker probably than you guys, and
that goes back to fixing somebody else's problem. Like it was like, was it even perfect before I was trying to fix it? You know, was it perfect before it was bad? You know, like
I've seen a lot of.
When I get it on the water.
You'll see it like collector cars. You know, someone will go through and they'll spend an absolute ton of money doing this thing, but it's better than what it was originally. They're trying to make it original, but it actually is. It wasn't like that in the
Yes.
factory. And you go, well, now it's inauthentic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that concept of understanding what works and for you and what finish level you're going for.
And okay, back to cruising. Where is our first spot we're gonna go when she's done?
We were so hoping to get in like early in the season in 2024, and if we can, then we're gonna use that time to go north, I think, as far as we can.
Okay.
If it's near the end of the season, of course, we're gonna stay around Annapolis for the boat show and then do a test. No, regardless, we're gonna do like a test season in the Caribbean over winter. Once we kind of get the hang of things, we're headed to the Mediterranean for sure. 2 times failed now, 2 times across the Atlantic. Get
Every single
just
time.
nudging, and then we're like, oh, there's a boat back for us in the U.S. Let's head back over. First stop is going to be either we'll go up to like Massachusetts, Maine if we're in the water in the summer, or if it's in the fall, it's like, okay, we'll hang around and then move down to the Caribbean.
Because you guys said you didn't do New England yet, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we'll let you go there.
You know, I'm well aware this is a boat that I built. We need to test this thing thoroughly
not
before we start crossing ocean.
Until we
you know?
put it through every test we can.
Yeah, so I want to make sure everything is right and there is no issues. Then we'll do another ocean crossing and get out there. So
Yeah, we're not going to drop it in the water in July and be like, cool, Portugal, here it comes.
Yeah.
I have about a million more technical questions, but I think we'll have to wait and do a part 2 next time.
Yeah, we'll discuss it at dinner. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy our videos and would like to support more, you can check out our merchandise on our website or even join our crew on Patreon, where you get real-time updates, Tula shop discounts, and early videos. If you're hard at work saving money for your own adventure, sharing our videos with a friend is also a huge help, and it's completely free. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.